So, as most of you know by now, Jimmy Butler was traded to the Golden State Warriors this week to be a running mate with Steph Curry. So, the news broke about a month ago or so that Jimmy Butler wanted out of Miami. A lot of people thought he would be traded long before the trade deadline, but he was actually one of the last big pieces traded at the deadline, and he's going to Golden State. There was speculation that he may have been going to Phoenix. Supposedly, Golden State was reaching out to just about every big star. Supposedly, they had a deal in place to bring Kevin Durant in, but Kevin Durant did not want to go back to Golden State. And there's reports that came out that say he even reached out to Steph Curry and said the time just wasn't right and it didn't make sense for him to come back to Golden State. But Golden State gets their guy. They get Jimmy Butler. They immediately extend him on a 2-year, $120 million year, $60 million a season. I don't dislike the move for Golden State. I don't think this makes Golden State a championship contender by any means. What I think this does is I think this makes them a very competitive team moving forward for the next couple of years and what could be Steph's final few years in the NBA. I think when you have a guy like Steph, it's worth maybe giving up. They only had to give up one first-round pick, couple of seconds. And obviously they moved on from Andrew Wiggins, who is going to Miami. They also moved on from Kyle Anderson and Lindy Waters. But like I said, even though if this maybe doesn't make them a championship contender, I think it's worth bringing in Butler for a couple of years, paying him the $60 million to have a competitive team with Steph. I think Steph's such a transcendent player and means so much to that franchise and those fans that, it's worth bringing Butler in and making them a competitive team, a playoff team. It also can just be some motivation for Steph Curry, Bringing in Butler, he has another star with him. They lost Clay this offseason. Golden State got off to a good start this season, but they've really been struggling, and they're really just not that great of a roster. But Jimmy Butler does really help that. He also fits in really well with Steph Curry. Their play styles are so different, and they differ so much that they kind of complement each other in a weird way. Jimmy Butler's a guy who likes to play with his back to the basket. Obviously, Steph Curry does all his damage outside the three-point line, so maybe Butler will be able to penetrate some, maybe get some open looks for Steph, and also Steph draws so much attention because he's such a great player that'll open up looks for Jimmy as well. So they really complement each other. And if anything, I think this brings some excitement for Golden State fans. And again, I think that's why this was a good move. I think it keeps Steph happy. It gives him a running mate for the next couple of years, and maybe he rides off into the sunset after that. We obviously know these guys aren't getting any younger, which is why I think the 2-year deal makes sense. But I think what the Warriors' thought process was here is let's make a deal that's not going to completely ruin our future, but also bring in a guy that can play with Steph Curry and maybe make a little bit of noise if they get hot in the postseason. Who knows? I mean, these are two guys that have both shown to be elite postseason performers. But I think the main goal of this move was to keep Steph happy and just to field a more competitive team.